All right, welcome to Q&A with Tech Services.
Ooh,
I'm Olivia Redcliffe. I am here with the awesome Dr. Gustavo Barca. So, Gustavo, you know the deal. Who are you? What do you do?
hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Varka, also known as Dr. V, new application manager at eBeam Services. And I heard we got questions. We may have answers. And I'm here with Olivia for this Q&A. We're not
Is,
at the beach this time. We're in the office, like every human, working.
is that your tagline now? We've got questions. We might have answers. We might have answers. That's
Fire of electrons.
instilling some confidence there.
It's a joke.
So, anyways, all right, we do have questions. So we have all these frequently asked questions that the eBeam team gets, the tech services team gets, new applications. And so we have pulled together a bunch of them. We've got new ones coming in daily. So we just kind of answer the top ones and just kind of go through the list. So I've got a bunch today, Gustavo, if you're ready to dive in.
Shoot.
Okay. All right. Question number one. Do you provide any guidance or training to help me or my team understand how to optimize your services?
Yes, that's a very interesting question. We offer guidance from from the first call, the first contact you have with us, whether it's through a scheduled call or through an email. We always try to help people understand how to make best use of the technology. People come to us with a good understanding of their material, and most of the time they have an understanding of what they need, but they don't know how to get there, right? And that's where we come along. We help them understand the guidelines to some extent of what needs to be done in terms of validation. And we also offer knowledge in the sense of coming from a material perspective. Does this tolerate radiation, right? Because there's always a learning curve. There's always the steps that we do to validate products. They help us understand and take into account the material properties in terms of how to deliver the right dose. And then it's an evolution. It's a process. We walk and we work closely with the customer to be able to make sure he's understanding. And so if it's a product that goes through 510K, the whole story has to be very redundant, right?
Mhm.
So do help along the way, right? On each step, what's needed, number of samples, we help them understand if their dose is right and all of that. Yes. That was a long answer to say yes, but we do.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Question two. What makes eBeam's approach stand out compared to other solutions in the market? Can you share a specific example of a time when your services really made a difference for a client? I know that second part may be hard because there's a lot of confidentiality. But eBeam is the secret sauce for a lot of different companies, but do your best. You got it.
Okay, I'll try. I think the beauty of electron beam, when we look at, if we're talking about sterilization, right? We're talking about high energy, right? And we have ways of having that energy at industrial level, right? We use gamma, X-ray, or E-beam, three of them. E-beam, it's powered by electricity, right? So basically it enables us to, we don't rely on supply or demand of shipments from, we don't need to recharge our sources. There are no sources. It's a machine. What that does is that enables us to have more better turnaround. It allows us to tune the dose a little bit more specific to the product. So how does that help? Well, it helps by having availability. It helps by providing a quick turnaround, a quick process, right? I think that's one of the initial questions. The second question is, we know it doesn't lead to radioactive materials. It doesn't induce radioactivity in material. It also doesn't need cross linkers. It doesn't need chemical components to be added to the formulation, right? We're talking about polymer modification. The SDS is the same. There's nothing being added to it. So it allows customers to save time from regulatory perspective, from safety perspective, right? Um, I can give you a good example of how e-beam can help. Decontamination, bioreduction customers. we've seen customers converting in 28 days from the day they call us to the day we get it validated. It's not because we have superpowers, it's because we understand the process and the technology enables us to have a good flow. And if the material is available and we can perform all the tests, we can hit home run very fast. And we are not, the technology itself is not facing crazy turnaround times, is not while other technologies are. Don't know if I answered the question, but I tried.
No, I think that's good. I think that's a good point to show out because I know there are a lot of people who wait a really long time to get their products validated, whether it's for whatever sterilization method. And so calling out that that is something that e-beam services specifically can do quickly and with e-beam technology can be done quickly. I think that is a good example because I know that timeline can really weigh on people. You want to get your product to market and to clients as quickly as possible, right?
Yes, yeah,
Um,
yeah. And with the changes happening in the market, e-beam is being more, we're getting more familiarized with e-beam is no longer that obscure technology nobody ever heard of, right? And we think it's so special that we're launching a National Electron Beam Day, but that's a topic for another day.
That's a spoiler, Gustavo. You have to.
Sorry. Somebody cut the microphone.
All right. We will get into National Electron Beam Day here in just a bit. But
All right.
all right, next question. Let's see here. All right. How long does it typically take to complete a project? And does it depend on the type or size of the order, quote unquote?
So trying to think. So if you're talking from a validation perspective, I don't know who asked the question, what it intended
Yeah,
to be.
it doesn't say industry or
Right.
anything. So,
So
however you wish.
so I'm going to try to answer both ways. I think the time it takes for validation, all of those depend on a lot of things, including the milestones that the customer has to go through. Does this product need a 510K? Is it going through clinical trials? All of those things matter, right? If it's material modification, does this needs to be approved by customer? Do they need to thermoform it? What is the process that's got to go through? So the beaming part tends to be the quickest one. The validation from a product perspective, a commercial perspective, in terms of acceptance of the market, is a different challenge. Now, I will say it again because I can't say it enough. Beaming is the fastest portion of the process, right? We have ways of using our standard turnaround time, but we also have expedited modalities. We have other ways that enable to do the fast and get the reporting out very fast, but we can't speed up a clinical trial. We can't speed up the other elements that we can't control. Now, when you talk about production, when there's a cool thing, and I'm going to get very nerdy here, the kilowatts. People talk about kilowatts for electron accelerators without understanding what they mean. Well, kilowatt is about the amount of electrons we can produce per time, how fast they are at the MeV. Here is how many electrons can we generate. So the higher the kilowatt, the more electrons we can deliver, the faster the dose we can deliver. So that being said, hope in proper English, the higher the kilowatts, the easier it is to turn around a truckload, for instance. So we can turn out, depending on the box, depending on the size of the truckload can be done in an hour, can be done in an hour and a half, can be done in 50 minutes. It's all about the efficiency. And that is why when you started the Q&A today, you asked, somebody asked about if we help them understand the efficiencies. Yes, we do, because the efficiency and the validation process will dictate how good we're going to be able to run it, how fast, and that impacts pricing, impacts turnaround. So we are very keen on helping the customer meet his logistics needs, but also improve the efficiency for electron beam processing.
Yeah. So based on everything you just said, sounds like the earlier people can talk with you in their process, the better. So you can maybe help with some understanding of that efficiency and what would be best for packaging, et cetera.
Yes. Although if we're talking about sterilization, people think terminal sterilization should be thought at the end. It's not ideal. Ideally, when you start developing something, in the case of a new product, you want to be looking in the end of how am I going to sterilize this? Because uh, in the end, there's just so much that can be done, right? Not every degradation process can be overcome. So if we are in the early stages, we can tune the box, we can change, work on the formulation or something that is harder to do once you have it done.
Yeah. And all that being said, you still can validate existing products and
Yep.
such, find efficient ways to work with them as well.
Definitely. And by the way, if the product's coming for gamma, usually a quick, unless there are density issues, but our team is here to help you understand what those caveats are or bottlenecks. But it's usually a very quick conversion. Even the ISO is trying to support the new regulatory information that's being released, is trying to support and facilitate that conversion. Right?
Mm.
There's several conversations going on about, do I need to do my dose audit is using the same sterilization modality? If dose is dose, there's a lot of conversations, and I believe in the near future, it's going to be a lot more simple, because one thing that no one can ever forget is that we need sterile materials. We need materials that function. I don't want to be on a surgery table one day and they don't have sterile medical devices. And that is regardless of how they sterilize it, how colorful it is, how beautiful it looks. I want to survive the procedure and
Mhm.
leave hospital without an infection, right? So that is the main goal. And again, now I'm speaking globally, but that's the truth, right?
Yeah, I love it. All right. Um, how do you adapt your processes for highly specialized applications such as biodegradable materials or really cutting edge medical devices or combo products?
Don't people want to know that? So I
You
guess,
don't have to share all the secrets.
yes, because every product is different, right? But we always have to understand what kind of matter is it. It matter in the physical meaning of the word. Is this a biological product? Is this a biopolymer? What are the functional groups we have? Is this sensitive to radiation? Because different materials will require different methods, right? Sometimes we have to use temperature. Sometimes we have to change dose rate. Sometimes we have to have cooling times or waiting times between passes to allow matter to recombine, the radicals to recombine. So it is about having an understanding of what the material is from a composition point of view, from a um, uh, dimensional point of view. What's the density? How long is it? What's the width? What's the height? Can we get through it? And then what is the best scenario to induce sterilization? Because people get lost here, Olivia. It's very interesting. Sterilization will happen unless you have the Avengers of bacteria, unless you have the Hulk, which can't be turned unsterilized. It has to go back. But the focus, it's always about, can the material withstand radiation? Because bacteria can't, microorganisms can't. Those levels, and I'm gonna get nerdy again. I'm sorry, guys, but you asked for it, you got it. And I said I may have answers, as I said in the beginning, but the doses that we use for humans when we do therapy, when we do X-ray, when we do exams and diagnostic exams, there's several order of magnitude lower than the doses we use to sterilize product. So at those levels, nothing survives unless it's an extremophile, unless it's the Hulk of bacteria. So that being said, we always focus on the product. We always focus on the composition of the product and how to tolerate the dose, because we know bacteria won't. Does that make sense? I felt like I went off topic, but I think it's an important thing for people to know. People call in this, yo, can you prove that it's sterilized? Look, it is going to sterilize. The
Yeah.
question is, will your product survive it? And that's why we're here. Our technical team is here to help. We have experts in polymer chemistry. We have experts in biopolymers, biomaterials, and all of that. And that's how, depending on the opportunity, we'll loop in the right technical people so that we can get the best out of it.
Perfect. All right. Last question for today.
Oops.
What happens if something doesn't go as planned during the treatment process? And how do you handle issues?
So we have a very robust quality system, and if it's medical device, it's all FDA regulated, right? It has to follow everything by the book. So I don't have a lot of quality understanding. That's not the realm I'm in, but I understand there are products that are rejected. There are products that are uh, um, quarantined. There are products that sometimes we have to stop them and we don't continue processing. There's a lot of things that we're allowed to do and things that we're not allowed to do. What is not common to see is underdosing or overdosing. Those are not common. They're not common to happen, right? And unfortunately, I don't think I have more information on that particular question. But what I know is we follow all the FDA guidelines for medical devices if it's in sterilization. If it is in the polymer modification realm, we have more flexibility. Sometimes we can tune the dose because the polymers come in different batches, different properties. So there's a dose adjustment we can make. We can redose it sometimes. So depending on the market segment and the requirements for the product, there are things we can do and things we can't do.
Okay. So it's all regulated. There are plans in place that is all regulated.
Yes. Yes. And here we always try to over communicate. So the moment we notice there is an issue, we try to establish connection with the customer because we understand that a lot of our customers make great products, right? So we understand how important it is to them, and then we try to work around the best way as possible.
Perfect. Love it. All right. Well, thanks, Gustavo. We'll wrap that up and come back with some more questions next
Thank
time.
you, Olivia. Bye, everybody.
Anyone has any other questions for Gustavo, the eBeam team, you can send us an email, ebeam@ebeamservices.com, or just go to the website, ebeamservices.com, and there you can send email, send a contact form, or even just book a call with Gustavo directly. So, all right, take care. We'll see you next month.